Welcome back to our first look at Industry Giant 4.0. The game just released in early access and we had a first episode to look at the basics we created on this map. This is the first map, so it's not the biggest one, it's actually the smallest one outside of the tutorial. It has 2 towns. Those towns started with only 70 people, but as you can see, they've been growing for sure. We're now at this one at 430. And at this one, Blackham, we are at 362. So they haven't been growing at the same pace because, sometimes there's not enough resource for all of them. I mean, there's basically never enough resource for all of them. But they've been growing, and with this growth also comes new demands. At the beginning, they only wanted some vegetables and not that much. They only wanted some wood shavings and not that much. Now they want many other things, right? They also want some fruits. They also want some tools, some wood planks. Don't ask me why. They want some clothes and some shoes. And those numbers have also been skyrocketing, right? We're talking about more than 7,000 of vegetables, more than 5,000 of clothes right now. And one thing interesting to note about this game is that the demand per quarter can change. So for example, the wood shavings, they only need these in winter. It sort of makes sense, even if I would say probably people would buy them in autumn, not in winter, but okay. And this is the same on this side, right? We have, as the houses upgrade to from level 1 to level 2, 3, let's find, for example, this is a level 2, right? And I should have some level 3 somewhere. We can click on this to find them. Yeah, these are the green ones. This is a level 3. Right, so you can see for this house in particular, they request some fruits, etc. So anyway, yes, this has been growing, crazy demand. We've had to upgrade our production. Now, the production is you place, things like farms or mines, etc. And then you're gonna have to have transport lines. So all in all, it is basically very similar to something like Transport Fever 2, where you have production, you have city, you create your production, transport them to the cities, and the cities grow. I've had also, in the first episode, I think a lot of you have mentioned it. I also mentioned it when we played the demo of this game, that it resembled a lot of Transport Fever 2. So now I just want to sort of highlight maybe some of the differences. In the positive, like I said, is I think there is a bit more complexity in the management of the city, where, you're gonna have the demand that changes per quarter, each of the houses, changing. You need to also place, of course, your shops, and your shops are also slightly more complex, where there is the range of the shop, there is the storage that needs to be managed, and if there's too much resources, for example here, I don't know why I've delivered a lot of these, it's costing me money, I'm paying an overload cost. I can trash some of them, so let's do this so that the overload cost should go down. But all in all, again, this is pretty similar over here. Now, to talk quickly about the roads, so you have different types of roads and railroad. I felt that it has been a bit more complex than something like Transport Fever 2 to control. You have, a couple of ways. You have curves and straight replaces to upgrade, basically. For the roads, I've found it very hard to actually get exactly the road where you want. Similarly, you see a lot of the building, they're gonna terraform pretty much the terrain, versus in Transport Fever 2 I felt we had a lot more options to make it a lot more realistic. There is quite a lot of productions, right? You can see definitely quite a few things over here, but it's not like a crazy amount either compared to Transport Fever 2. A big difference is that in Transport Fever 2, usually, if you're not playing with mod or special, mods, is that usually you are given a number of industries in specific places, versus here you can actually choose where to put industries as long as you respect some of the guidance. So for example, your trees, like your sawmill, it needs to have trees, or if you want to put, like I've put over here, iron mine, it needs to be in a region that has iron, but I can place it anywhere I want in that region. Same for the farms, right? It needs to be in a place that has fertile, land, but it can be anywhere I want in that region. On the other hand, I found, the limits very restrictive. So for example, this is my farmland, right? My fertile land. But if I try to put one more livestock or one more agricultural farm, it's going to tell me I've put the maximum number of building already there, which I think is 2. You can see I have 2 over here, 2 there. So only 2 production in one. That feels very restrictive. And I haven't seen anywhere something where I can change that. So compared to the last episode, I did build a bit more. I can show you over here. We have indeed, this new iron mine, iron ore, right? That's then going into this foundry. We're transforming the iron ore into iron ingots, and then it continues. And it's actually the same train. I'll show you in a second, but it continues into this one over here, where we're transforming this into tools or hardware. They're called. It's basically tools, and then we have a truck that is taking these and putting them into the international harbor, where I have started our first contract. We're selling some of these tools on the market. Let me show you how that works. So basically you choose if you want to import or export. So export is a revenue, import is a cost. So I'm going to export. I'm going to say, okay, I want hardware. How much am I going to sell? Well, maybe I'll sell 3,000, and I have 1 month to deliver that, and I'm just going to do it one time, or I'm going to do it endless, right? And so obviously that's going to give me a lot of money. Let's sign it. I have tons of storage already there. You can see I have 4,000 in storage. And the good thing, and this is actually, I guess, one thing that is better than Transfer Fear 2 is, depending on what the material is, there's going to be a potential problem of freshness or durability. So for this hardware, it doesn't exist. That's not a problem. But for food, for example, that is definitely a problem. So let's check over here into my grocery. I made a medium one, right? We had the small one. I made a medium one there. And if I go into my storage, you will see this one is spoiled. The fruits are spoiled, not good. Some of the vegetables are stale, not good either, right? So you have to manage this, basically produce exactly what's needed. That's the whole point of this game. And that's why you see a lot of warnings, is if you don't produce exactly what's needed, you're gonna have a problem. But yeah, I've been growing that town, trying to produce more of these, in particular the wooden tools, trying to produce a bit more of these. But I am very limited by the fact that I cannot put more farms. I did put some fruits over here, but again, it says overloaded, so it cost me some money over here, the overload. We could, trash it all to restart a bit from scratch. But yeah, I guess we can check over here. If the contract has been finished, we delivered it, we can check on my money there. By the way, my money now, we're at more than 100 million, because every year you can see I'm making a lot more than what my operating costs are. And yes, the metal processing export, right, that's the contract I just showed you over here. So all good there. But yeah, all in all, a couple of other problems that I have is I feel it's very hard sometimes to see a full production chain. So for example, let's assume I want to go over here and I say, okay, I would like to start a contract selling, let's say, this furniture. Now, how do I know what's needed to make furniture? It's not that easy. I can go over here and click on furniture, and it's gonna tell me, okay, all of those things, but even that's not so easy. I mean, it's gonna tell me, okay, probably I need a furniture wok because I see that recipe there, but then what is needed for it? I don't really know. I have to build that one first, and then I'll probably see what is needed. Let's put it somewhere so I can show you. Okay, over here. Oops, that is not what I wanted to do, but yeah. So it's there, and then I have to click on production. Then I have to find out that it's wood planks and leather. So then I have to go back and find, okay, leather, what do I need for leather? What do I need for wood planks, etc. So that is also quality of lives that are missing. Now, to be fair, this is still in early access, right? So quality of life is obviously usually not the thing that comes right away. But still, in my opinion, like many people have said, it feels very much like Transport Fever 2 without a lot of innovation. So I will be keen to see where they go. Now, the good thing is that we've already had one update, basically on the next day after it was launched, bringing a new map that is big. I'm going to show you it to you in a second. Also bringing a couple of improvements and bug fixes. So they are listening, they're there, and they have also showed a bit of an early access roadmap. I do hope that they're going to listen to the feedback, to potentially update that map. And it seems like we're talking about a 1.0 release towards, I guess the end of 2025 or potentially in 2026, because we have an update for Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, right? So they're talking about UI, UX improvement, performance and stability improvement, and shipping traffic. Not too sure what that is, but we have that. And we have favor and image. I think that is probably linked to how you manage your city, I'm guessing. We have also the company philosophies. So I know that, again, this is probably linked to if you start a map and you say my philosophy is to have great logistic, or my philosophy is cost cutting, those type of things, probably that will impact how the game is played. So maybe a bit of replayability here, a bit of challenge. Some random and historical events can be interesting, more charts and stat. I think this is definitely missing. There is some, but I think we need a lot more. New achievements, improved modding, custom game modes. All of this is good, but it doesn't seem to be bringing a lot of innovation into the core gameplay, which doesn't mean the game will be bad. I think it's just, okay, you have Transport Fever 2, you have this one. If you like Transport Fever 2, you're probably gonna like this one, but it's not gonna probably bring a lot more people, or why play this one and not Transport Fever 2? I think that's the key question for me. And check out in the single player over here, as I mentioned before, we have of course a tutorial. We were playing Neighbor, and that is 4x4 kilometers. We have this one 6x6, this one 8x8, and then we have the big ball, which it doesn't say how big, but it definitely seems a bit bigger when I opened it. So let's open it again and look at it together. So it is, as you can see, this map is way bigger than the one I showed you before, or the one we were playing on before. There's also an airport instead of just the harbor, which is still there somewhere. Yeah, here. There's a couple of cities, one city over here that's demanding some specific items, another one over here. The same item. Again, this is one thing I'm not loving. This should be asking for different items. Why again the same items? That that doesn't bring any interesting gameplay. What will be really interesting is, like in a lot of the Transport Fever 2 maps, you had maybe two cities, and let's say this city wanted food, but you couldn't make any food over here. You had to make the food all the way over here. And then you had the second city here, but that one didn't want food. That one wanted, let's say oil, and oil was all the way over here. That's what's interesting, right? Like that's when you have to really deal with a lot of complexity in your logistics and things like this. So I think this game has a lot of potential. Obviously I love this genre of games, this type of games, but I think it also has a lot more to do to prove itself, like what is different about this game, what is better about this game versus the ones we already have. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you want to see more of this one? Do you want me to play an actual long series maybe on this big map? Also, do you agree with my assessment? What do you think is better about this game? What do you think is worse too? I'd love to hear, and I'm sure the developers too, because I know they're watching. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.